across the world, different ways to lead,
Different voices giving what you need.
different angles, different views, all bringing something you can use.
From every corner, hear the call. Level up now, give it your all.
Mind, body, business, elevate, new perspective, shift your state. This is coaching call.
With Sifu Rafael. Sifu Rafael.
Sifu.
Rafael.
Different paths, different minds. Take what works, leave what doesn't align. Every voice brings something new. Now the choice is up to you. Take the insight, make it real. Turn the vision into skill.
From every corner, hear the call.
Step into it.
Stand up tall. From every corner, hear the call.
Step into it.
Stand up tall. Coaching call with Sifu Rafael. Sifu Rafael.
Good morning, Brian. Happy Wednesday, brother.
Good morning. Good to be with you, Sifu. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. What a pleasure. I got to tell you, I'm excited for today's call because it really is coaching call, and you've done so much with your life. And basically, if somebody could follow in your footsteps, it wouldn't be easy, would it?
You know, for me, I like to think of it as just an I've been an average guy, normal blue collar guy who just took it one step at a time, and still am. And just always have just focused on whatever it was that was in my control and worked really hard on that. And then that unlocked the next level. And I kind of worked life 30 years in business as a video game almost.
Got it. I love it. Like a video game.
Yeah, literally Super Mario Brothers, just one level at a time, just working each level as hard as I could. And sometimes you get stuck on a level for a while.
Yeah. Level four.
Yeah.
So, but you know what I said is so pertinent to you, because a lot of people don't understand that they don't have to stay at that level, but you kept pushing. You said, "I'm not staying here. Somehow I got to find a way to the next level." Let's get into your life, if you don't mind. Where were you born, and who influenced you before the age of, say, 15?
Yeah, so I was what you call a military brat. My dad was in the army, and so we moved around a lot. And I was born in Germany, actually. My dad was stationed in Germany during the early '80s because of the Cold War, and we had a bunch of stuff over there. and lived in Germany till I was 5 or 6, and then we moved to Tennessee, outside of Fort Campbell, and lived there for a while, and then moved to another town called Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And then my dad retired from the military, and he was is very influential in my life. He made me start my first business. He made me go mow the neighbor's yard one day because he got sick and tired of watching me play Nintendo all day. So I was not a natural born entrepreneur. I was forced into it, but something about making $20 to go cut the neighbor's grass stuck with me, and I was very lucky to learn that at 14 years old.
Wow, that's pretty good. So would you say, being that your dad was a military individual, and you know, he served our country and so forth, would you say his discipline rolled over into you, as far as when you got started with mowing your neighbor's lawn?
Yeah, there was a lot of things, a lot of lessons he would teach me around attitude and enthusiasm, and also a level of quality standard. Maybe those are military things. Maybe it's just who he is. But I remember when we mowed that yard, I skipped some spots. I left some spots. I left some grass over here. It didn't look that great, looking back. And after we got done, he came back over and walked me around the yard, and we did quality control. And he pointed out all the areas I missed. And he did that for a while, looking at the jobs that I did. And so he kind of set a level of quality and, I guess, personal pride in the work I was doing. And I don't know if he learned that in the military or if that's just the kind of guy he is, but had he not taught me that, I probably just would have done a half-assed job on everything I did. So again, they're very lucky that that I had this influence on my life causing me to level up.
Yeah, I love that. Um, what are your memories of Germany, if you don't mind?
Very, very, very faint. I spent, my first until I was just a little kid there. I remember the food. I remember
Mhm,
that things were just a little different there. That the architecture was different, the streets were different. It was a lot cleaner. It felt like
mhm,
organized. It was definitely more like a well-oiled machine living there. Whereas,
mhm.
sometimes in the States, things are just kind of like anything goes and it's sloppy. Um, I've been back to visit, and it still is that way. Like even from the
Mm,
roads to it's a different culture. It's an interesting place that I wish that there were some elements of Germany that we had in the States. Not all, because if
mm,
I had, let's say they had stayed in Germany and till I was 25 and I was like half German and stayed there, my life would have been very different. The life of a European is capped. You really cannot. It's very hard to make your own way there. You do have a good
mm,
safety net, but it's hard to kind of break through the ceiling there. And so, luckily, I didn't live in Germany my whole life.
mm. Got it. Did you learn the German language?
A couple words here and there, but we were on a military base, and so we
Okay.
kind of had like an American and British community because there was English troops over there too, and we kind of had our own insular community that we lived in. But like my nanny was a German lady and she didn't speak English. I remember her, and the food is the schnitzel is the main thing I remember. I've never had schnitzel as good as I did back in 1985.
I hear you. I hear you. Um, so Brian, you started mowing lawns because your dad's he said you're at the same level. Let's go to the next level. Now it's mowing lawns, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And instead of playing Mario Brothers, you didn't have the cart, but you had the push mower, right?
It's a different
It's a
different
different
controller too.
joystick in your hand, right? So you said that your dad started you with the next door neighbor, and then you also mentioned that you did, and your dad kind of came and overlooked and helped you and guided you along what let's take pride in what we're doing, quality control, you called it. And then you had other jobs. How did you get the other jobs? More neighbors? Did somebody tell somebody? How did that happen?
This is one of the cool things about running a simple business like a lawn mowing business or even a home cleaning business or a simple home services business is that you learn 80% of what goes into uh, running any business. And so that was a lesson I had to learn early on was, okay, this gig, if you will, is not just about doing a good job mowing this yard. It's also about you have to do things to grow the thing. And so that's marketing. And nobody really pays you to do that. You have to kind of go out there in a leap of faith and do that. And so, but I knew I wanted more of those jobs. I really knew that if I could get 20 of those, that I could be the richest 14-year-old in the neighborhood. And so I knew that I needed more of them. I didn't know how to do that.
Mm,
I just figured the best way to do it would be to print off some flyers and put them in the mailbox, and that's what I did. And then I got yelled at by the post office, by the postman. He said, "You can't do that. You can't put them in the mailbox." So then I would get these little pieces of string and I'd punch a hole in them and I'd tie a little string around the doorknob and I passed out probably 1,000 of those that first summer and got
mm,
20 or 30 customers that year. And
mm,
and then you learn all kinds of stuff like how do I organize all this? How do I put this in a route like or Monday I do this, Tuesday after soccer practice I do this
mm.
and you have customers that don't pay you, and you got to figure out how you're going to deal with that and how much credit you're going to extend them. It's all of these little things that you learn running a little lawn mowing business that set me up for kind of what lay ahead for the next 30 years.
How was that summer, that first summer? How many clients did you actually get? And
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about not paying clients, which
Yeah.
we don't want to count those, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Probably the first summer, and hell, I did this in the fall and the spring. So while I was at school, I would wake up really early on Saturday and Sunday and mow yards for 14, 15 hours.
Wow.
I probably got 20 customers, 30 customers, and then kept that. And then by the time I was like 17, I had hired one of my friends, and we were doing
Mm,
50 or 60 a week.
wow.
And then when I got to college, I got it up to a couple hundred a week. And so, it's just kind of one of those things that you, if you kept people happy, you could build on top of it and got some momentum going. And learned a lot of lessons. There was many days where I was just like, I can't believe people work this hard every day, and I guess they do. And that's what I did. But it was also motivating that I had damn, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So it was motivating for me to figure out systems to build a business to where I didn't have to personally do the services. But that was probably 10 years later.
Very interesting that you kept grinding week after week on the weekends when most kids your age were just hanging out, sleeping late, partying, whatever it was. But there you are grinding 14 hours a day. I mean, you were working out, no doubt, right? You were probably lean and everything else
Yeah.
at that point. Um, but the finances started coming in. You were making money. What drove you? Was it the money or the work itself?
Yeah, it was I really wanted to build a bigger business than I had at all times. And
Mm,
even still to this day, I want to build my current business into a bigger business than what we've got. And so that was what motivated me. It wasn't like the material things. Back in the 90s, we didn't live in quite the materialistic society we do today. So there were only so many pairs of soccer cleats you could buy, and there were only so many pair of Air Jordans you could buy, and we just didn't live in the kind of world we do now. So it wasn't like I was trying to get a bunch of money and acquire a bunch of flashy things. That wasn't it. What
mm,
it was was okay. This lawnmower I have sucks. And I'm on this thing all day long and it's always breaking. And I see the big companies have these big mowers, and that mower is like $15,000. And so I need to get one of those, because if I can get one of those, I don't have to walk all day and I can do 3 yards in an hour rather than two. So I can make
mm,
more money with this investment. And so that's what it was. It was, okay, I got to save up the money to buy this particular piece of equipment, and then I got to save up money to buy a truck, and then that kind of business is very capital intensive, and there is never an end of equipment you can accumulate, almost to your detriment. Sometimes you can buy stuff you don't really need, and I have fallen in that trap in the
mm.
trade business. So for me, it was okay. I want to grow the business to 1 million in revenue, and to do that, I've got to acquire equipment, and so that necessitated getting money and then reinvesting it.
Yeah, absolutely. So where did you keep the equipment? Because if you think about it, it takes up space, right? Not only do you need a truck, you need a trailer, you need the equipment, and you need all these things. Where did you store
Yeah,
it when
that's
you
that's
moved?
that's a challenging thing with any trade business. Where do you keep this stuff? I
Mhm.
was living with my parents until I was 18. And so it was arguments with mom and dad, and beating up the beating up the flange around the garage door, because you're always moving trailers in and out all day. And so I kept it there for a while, although they hated that. But they were supportive of it, but it was annoying to them, I could tell. And then so when I was 18 and I moved out, I rented a little storage space, and that you would think would solve the problem, but that just makes life a lot more difficult, because you not only you got to drive somewhere else across town, before you even start your day, and then you got to load up there, and it's always a pain getting in and out of there. And so maybe if you want to just like call that level 3 of the game, it's like I got to build a facility now to house this stuff. Now I had to like, spend all my money buying lawnmowers and a truck or two, and now I gotta find a shop that I can rent or buy. And that was kind of like a hurdle of getting to over a level in the game, was developing a facility. And so that was one of the first things I did. I was like 21 years old.
Mm.
I bought a 5-acre piece of land kind of on the outskirts of town, and got approval to, I don't know how, to build a 2,400 square foot metal building. And all in, I was probably into this thing for 70 grand. This was 2001. And so I got the financing, got the land, and got the approval to just build a building under the pretense that I had to build a house on it within 5 years. And so I was like, really took a big leap of faith doing that. But that enabled me to then have some breathing room of, okay, now I have a place to keep all of my stuff. I'm not throwing away $4 grand a month on rent, because that's what it would have cost to rent something like that. And so that was a big deal. And I still have all of that as an investment property now 26 years later. It's crazy. I haven't been out there in probably 20 years, but I still own it. But that was a real good lesson to learn that, like, okay, part of what you do in one of these businesses is acquire like good durable assets like real estate that go up in value. And I did it because I needed it to run the business. But, that property has gone up, 500%, 600% in 30 years. So all kinds of good things that a business forces you to do. But here it is now, I started mowing grass at age 14. Now I'm 21. I'm 6 years in. I still haven't really made a dime in the business. Everything I've done has just been to grow it. It's kind of funny when you look at it.
Yeah. So when you you kept that going while you're in college,
Yes.
was that more challenging than when you were in high school, would you say?
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. I wanted to grow the business, so it was always kind of like always more than I could handle. I always grew it beyond what I could kind of wrangle at the moment. And even now with my current business, that's how I kind of live life. Overwhelmed, I guess you could say, which is good.
Mhm.
And so I would go to school at night from like 6 o'clock at night to 10 o'clock at night, 4 hours every night for 3 hours, for 3 days a week. So I was taking like 12 credit hours. So it took me like 6 hours, 6 years to get through school. And I was getting a business degree. And I remember there was like this big disconnect between, I was running my landscaping business while going to business school. And I remember like being in a class about marketing, and the teacher would be doing their best job, teaching the curriculum. And then I would be thinking, this is not what marketing a business is actually like. This is, maybe if I got a job at like Coca-Cola or something, this might port, but this is not how I got my little business from 100 grand to 300 grand. I can tell you that. And so there was all kinds of things like that were not congruent with what I was learning in business school with what I was doing running a business. And so I kind of had to set that aside. And I was probably halfway through, I realized this is probably a waste of my time. I don't think I need to do this anymore. But my mom was a professor at the college, and I didn't want to let her down. I wanted to get the degree, get that feather in my cap. And as it turns out, I did not need that degree one time. Should have not gone to school, but got it done. And then I did have some kind of acumen around business strategy and planning, where I could make a proper business plan for really trying to scale the business. And I did that after I graduated, and then worked that plan. So maybe I did pick up more than I thought.
Yeah. It's very interesting that some of the professors haven't been in the trenches.
Mm.
And like you understood because you're in the trenches, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not going to work. This is not real.
Most of them had never ran a business of any kind. And that's not knocking them. They were doing the best job they could. They were doing what they were trained to do.
Right.
And that's really what most college and most schools teach us, is just how to be good workers. It doesn't teach us how to be good entrepreneurs.
Right.
Now, that said, if I didn't have a business and I didn't have any plan at all, going to school would have been a fine decision. But I had kind of a track record. I kind of had like a trajectory that I was on, and the going to college kind of robbed from that unnecessarily.
Mhm. You probably could have taught a course.
I could have taught a course on how to start a lawn mowing business. I'll tell you that. And I still, oh boy, and I could have taught a course on how to weed eat straight. Really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody wants to take that course.
But you know what? There's a lot of people right now who may be starting out and say, I wish there was something where I can learn all these things and it can fast track me, right? Because that's why we go to learn anything, is to fast track our learning curve, right? So
Yeah, that's the cool thing about today. With YouTube
yeah.
University, you can learn some of these things. Whereas back there in 1999, it was, man, good luck. Just bang your head against the wall, learn from your mistakes. That was it.
There was no university back then, or at least
Nope.
one that you get for free, right? When you consider how you grew your business, really, if you think of it, I'm going to say grassroots, right? Kind of funny, but it's grassroots because you started from one, you build it to many, you wound up hiring a friend, and then you hired many more people. How far did you take that business until you realize there's something bigger here that I can really help other people with?
Yeah, it was it was probably when I was 23, 24, and I hired my second, third, and fourth person, because up until then I was just hiring college kids and friends, and they were just trying to make some gas money. They
Mhm.
maybe they were trying to pay their way through school, and that carried some weight to it. But I remember the first time I hired a guy and he had a family. I
Mm.
mean, he was 10 years older than me, or maybe 15 years older than me, and he had a family and rent. And man, that I just remember that being a big kind of weight on my shoulders, because I
Right.
thought, man, if something goes wrong and we lose these 2 or 3 customers, and I can't keep this guy, enough hours, because he needed overtime, and
Mm.
that was a big responsibility. And I then so I didn't really know it at the time, but that was kind of like the first step into a new level of the game, where you realize, okay, this is not about cutting grass, and this is not about landscaping. This is actually about, we we provide prosperity for the people that work here, and we give them an opportunity to grow with the business, and make more money next year than they are this year. And we keep food on the table for now, 6 people,
Mm.
and because you got to think of their family as well. And as time went on, and I'd hire more people, that began to compound. And until, I ultimately got that business to about 150 people. And
Wow.
so then I did the math one day, and it was like many thousands of people that depended on that business. And that is an important responsibility that you carry as the founder, because that requires you to be looking out ahead, making sure that there's enough revenue coming in, that there's enough sales coming in, that you're keeping customers happy. Because if you don't, if you screw that up, there's a lot
Mhm.
of livelihoods that you screw up.
So true leadership, to lead 150 people and to impact their families and impact even your business, you you had to be somewhat selective at one point, right? Where you want the right people in your organization, because the wrong person could have come in and damaged your credibility even. How did you handle that?
Oh, that's a never ending job as the founder. You're always pruning the organization, to keep it truly high level, elite, however you want to describe that, performers, and a cohesive group of people that like each other, and a cohesive group of people that enjoy being around each other. And if you don't, that bill comes due at some point, and it comes due with interest, because you cannot turn your back on preserving the, even if it's just you and two helpers, 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, you're always pruning, and you're bringing on new people, you're bringing in new blood, and you're having to let people go that aren't good fits. Maybe they're just maybe they're just not a good fit for the culture, or maybe they're just a negative person, or maybe they're a lazy person, or maybe they just will not rise to the level of quality standard that you set. Maybe they won't follow procedure. Maybe they're showing up late all the time. Whatever it is, you try to fix it a couple of times, 1 or 2 times. That's it. 99% of the time, you're not going to be able to fix it. And you just need to move on and do the right thing. The hard thing and the right thing are usually the same thing. And that is having that difficult conversation with them, and bringing in somebody that is a better fit, because you're always worried about the culture, and you're always worried about the vibe and attitude inside the business, the level of enthusiasm that is being carried throughout the business. And a lot of that has to do with inner coworker relationships, and a lot of it has to do with your attitude. And if you don't like working with these people, you're going to have a bad attitude. So that's a never ending task of constantly leveling the team up and pruning out the people that aren't good fits.
You probably were not thinking about this when you first started in college, of this ecosystem, if you will, right? The different layers, the different challenges that you were going to be facing. Did you, along the way, have people that would handle things for you? So it's almost like a different levels, so that they would handle the lower people coming in, maybe just the regular guys, and you had other people, um, truly an ecosystem.
Yeah. As time goes on, there are things you can delegate, and you should. And so for me, you know, there came a time where I did not have to mow the grass anymore. And so it
Mhm.
was, I ran one crew with me and 2 helpers. And then I had another crew that was a one guy and a helper. And then I had another crew that was another guy and a helper. So I had 3 trucks going out every day. And so 2 of them were kind of autonomous. They would run a route that I would organize.
Right.
And then when I was running my route, I would still do sales calls and bookkeeping and stuff in the truck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I'm doing 3 or 4 jobs at once. And then I'm trying to get somebody to, it took about 3 years, maybe 2 years, to get somebody to do that last job for me, which was run my crew. And so, but then invariably, like, somebody would be sick or somebody would quit, and you would have to go pick up a crew again. You have to go run it yourself again. So that was always kind of like an iterative thing. And but then there came a time where I had enough talent where 3 or 4 of these trucks were going out every day, and I wasn't in them.
Mm.
And so that was like the first kind of lesson in delegation, where each crew foreman was over his truck, and then there was like a crew foreman assistant, and then there was a laborer, and that's how the crew was kind of built. And you were training somebody at all times to be a crew foreman, because we were always selling new contracts, and we were always trying to bolt on new trucks. And so you were always grooming somebody to take that role. And so that was kind of like, I did not know, I was not in every one of those trucks every day. So now, for the first time, there is delegation occurring, and there is people taking things off of my plate. But you're still, having to get rid of people because they're just, maybe they've got a substance abuse problem. There was a lot of that.
Mm.
Or maybe they are just very difficult to work around, and everybody hates, working around them. And so this person's actually pissing off 10 other people. You get, you're always having to prune that and maintain that.
It's interesting that you keep saying prune because it's you have to prune all the trees too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, I like that word to describe it because it is a living organism, your business, and when you're pruning something, you're not just whacking at it.
Right.
You're really looking at the bush and you're saying, okay, this limb, it's decaying, and
Mhm.
if I prune it off, actually the rest of the shrub flourishes.
That's right.
And so that's why I like to use that word. It really does describe it well for what we're talking about.
Oh, absolutely, and I love the fact that you're using it. So you grew this from one lawnmower to one job that your dad had you do to this I'm going to say million, right? Multi-million, because with 150 people, you had a lot of crews going out, a lot of money coming in. There had to be a lot of definitely um, bookkeeping going on, accounting, all these different things that you never fully imagined when you first started. Now you have all these, as you said, delegating principles, but you didn't stay in that business necessarily. You're doing something for it. So now we're going to get into where the tech part comes in for you. And how did you figure that out? And what was the first catalyst for you to get started with that?
Yeah, so yeah, grew the business to around 10 million in sales, and I guess I learned that I wasn't in the landscaping business at all. I was actually in the sales business, and I had to build a
Mhm.
sales process at the core of that business, and get it to where I could take on bigger projects, larger contracts, and so there was the operations kind of side of it, which I had figured out, but then the sales side of it took me several years to figure out, and train salespeople to go out and prospect new clients and bring them in, and I managed them for a while, and so that's kind of what got us over the 3 to 4 to 5 million to scaling up to 10 million, and then the business was actually acquired by a national company that runs these types of landscaping companies all over the country. And so they
Mhm.
bought the business, and I helped them run it for about 6 months, and then they kind of took it into their system. The business still runs today, and they're making money they're making more money than I ever did in the landscaping industry. So that was a success for everybody.
Mhm.
And so then after I sold that company, I kind of had to figure out, okay, what do I want to do with my life now? And something I didn't really anticipate was how much running that company was part of my just personal self-worth. Yeah, a lot
Mhm.
of my personal self-esteem came from running that business. And now that that was gone, it was just like somebody just took an organ out of my body or something. I felt like there was no reason for me to get out of bed early in the morning. There was no reason for me to want to push it forward in life. And it was a very strange thing that nobody told me about. And so I
Right,
thought,
right.
well, I got to start another company now. I don't really want to, but I got to start another business now. And so the idea, after running that company for 15 years, I knew that somebody was going to build an app that worked like Uber and like DoorDash and Instacart. You know, these apps where you can push a button and magic happens. I knew somebody
Yeah.
was going to build that for this industry, and I thought, oh, maybe I could do that. You know, maybe I could be a tech founder. Maybe I could build the Uber of lawn care.
Right.
And told two friends about it, and we called it GreenPal, and that's my current business. So we run an app that works like Uber but for lawn mowing.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. What is the website that somebody can reach you at? And then we'll throw it across the screen here.
Yeah, just greenpal.com, and you go to the website, you pop your address in, and you'll get like 5 free quotes for lawn mowing, and you hire somebody to mow your yard right on the website or the and they come out and
Wow.
mow it every week for you. And around 300,000 people all over the country use it every week.
Would you say that's correct going across the bottom, greenpal.com?
That's right. Looks good to me.
All right. Yeah, yeah. And I love the idea that you said there's an Uber, but now it's Uber from lawns. Because if somebody for example, when I had bought my house, I'm in my house and these guys are mowing my lawn. I'm like, I go outside. I'm like, who are you? Oh, we're mowing your lawn. I'm like, yeah, I didn't hire you. So I don't even know you. And they're like, well, the old landlord. So they assumed they were just going to take over without even knocking on my door.
Nice, nice. That's
So
sales.
that, in a way, it was smart of them. And I said, you know what? I said, I'll pay you for today, but don't come back.
Yeah, that was nice
I
of
said,
you.
because I said, I'll pay you for today, but don't come back. I said, until I decide.
Right,
Let me figure out. And first, bring me a proposal. What are you going to do for me?
right.
How are you going to handle it? And then I'll figure out if, yes, I'm going to hire you or not. I actually wound up hiring them, but then got rid of them like a year later because they didn't fully comply with what the agreement was. And so for me
Yeah,
to have said, yeah, just continue, it would have been, and the fact that they just jumped on like that without even knocking on my door,
yeah. Put
I
a
thought
bad
that was,
taste in your mouth.
yeah, it did. But I said, you know what? I got to go outside of my area to get somebody. I was like, no. And so the reason I got rid of them is because I was at a friend's house and he was telling me, oh, I'm like, man, your lawn is great. Your bushes are great. He goes, yeah, my guy's great. I said, what's your guy's number?
Nice.
That's just how I did it, right? But now you're telling me I can actually go to greenpal.com and look somebody up who's local to me and test them out, maybe try them out, and then hire them.
That's right. And what you described is pretty typical with how people normally solve this problem. It's like you've got grass that needs to be mowed. Normally, you'll ask around. Maybe you'll do a Google search. Maybe you'll ask somebody on Facebook, but you still have to go through a manual process of like polling these people and getting a price and negotiating with them and then there's this weird thing that happens. It's the case of the disappearing lawn guy. For some reason in the lawn business, these guys kind of just fall off the face of the earth. And then you get to kind of have to repeat this whole thing over again. And so with GreenPal, you don't have to do any of that manual work anymore. You put your address in and then they compete for your business. So you'll get 4 or 5 quotes really quickly. And then you can read reviews about who's good. Okay, well, what are my neighbors saying about these guys? And then also we measure how often they show up on time. And we call that the reliability rating. And it's how often they show up on the day they're supposed to. And that's a big thing because you don't really know who's reliable and who's not when you do this the old way. You kind of just have to take a leap of faith. And so we make it really easy for consumers to quickly hire who's going to be the good fit for them. But really why we exist is for the lawn guy. It's a business in a box for him. He can just plug into one place, get all of the customers he wants, quickly get it organized into a route. He knows where he's got to be every day, and then quickly get paid on the jobs he does. So we solve like 3 main problems for him. And that's really why we do what we do, is giving them like a platform that they can plug into and grow their business.
That's brilliant, Brian. Brian, I got to tell you, I love the idea. I love the concept and the simplicity of it, which is what people want, right? Where can somebody, besides going to greenpal.com, is it in every state or is it certain states? So if somebody's listening to this now and they're like, man, I need to take my business to the next level, this would probably do it, right? Because maybe I have, I'm busy all week, but maybe I want to level up to get another truck, to get
Yeah,
another route, or something like that. So
absolutely. Yeah.
where is it located?
Yeah, nationwide in the United States, any city over 20,000 people, GreenPal has lawn care companies operating in it. Didn't start off that way. We're a 10-year, 12-year overnight success. Started off just in Nashville where I live, and it took many, many years rolling it out to every city and town in the United States. But now every town in the United States, you can use GreenPal. And it is a great way for a lawn care service to expand their business, because we talked about levels of the game earlier. Every lawn care service goes through those levels of the game where it's like Maybe it's just them and a helper, but they want to do another crew. And where do you do the marketing and all of the organization to get that crew bolted on? Well, GreenPal is kind of like a place you can plug into and get enough work to start that second crew.
That's beautiful. But you're solving two problems, right? One is for the homeowner, who maybe they're not necessarily happy, or their crew disappeared, right? They're like, nobody's mowing my lawn. It's growing way more than it should. And it's also solving the problem for somebody who says, maybe I need more customers. Maybe I lost some customers. Maybe I lost some guys. Is there also a part within it for the lawn care guys to say, I need more help?
That would be the next kind of level of the game, if you will, going
I'm
deeper
looking
into
at
their
levels, right?
business, a way for them to recruit helpers.
Mm,
We do try to get as deep into their business as we can by way of, like we mentioned earlier, that getting them customers, organizing it, and getting them paid. But now we have this community inside of GreenPal where vendors offer discounts to them. So like you get
mm.
15% off your lawnmower blades, you get 10% off of
Wow.
insurance, you get 2% off of fuel, like all of these like little perks that we call them for being a part of GreenPal is stuff you're going to need anyway. Here's some offers that we've negotiated for you, using kind of like the community as a buying negotiating tactic is what we've done. And then, but would be nice to be able to go a step further and say, okay, you need help getting labor. You're going to need help, with all of these other things. Let's go deeper into your business. So that would be at the next level for us.
Yeah, I can see the beauty of you guys getting to the next level, because maybe I need a manager. I
Right.
need somebody who's gonna handle my crews, because maybe I want to step away like you did, and maybe I want to go to Europe for a month.
Yeah.
I can't do
Yeah.
that. I can't do that if I have to be on
No,
my truck every day, right?
man, I sure wasn't when I was starting off in the lawn
Of
care
course not.
business. I couldn't point Europe on a map, even though I was born there.
But I can see the value
Mm.
in you guys creating such a fundamental and important aspect to this business. Um, and I don't even think Uber has that, because if I have a Uber car and I want to get two more so I can hire guys, then they have to get their own accounts. But if Uber allowed me to have two or three or four or five accounts, I don't know if they do, but that would be brilliant for somebody, right? To be able to have a crew. So I'm thinking outside the box for
I,
you
I,
guys.
I love it, man. I love it. And you bring up Uber. They have kind of been an inspiration for us. There's a lot of things that they have done and experimented with that we've learned from. And so I think when you're starting a new business like this, you can look at these bigger players and learn from them and reverse engineer what it is they've done. When I started GreenPal, I actually did that. I drove for Uber for like a month,
Mm.
and I took screenshots of every screen and tried to figure out, okay, how they were doing this, how they were getting guys to show up in their car just at a push of a button. How was this really working? And then I would use every other app I could get my hands on. I delivered groceries, I delivered food, I walked dogs on these app. There's an app called Wag that I walked
Really?
dogs on, and I did that for like a year, where every month I would do a different one. It was actually kind of fun, and I got kind of a free MBA in product design doing that. And so learning from Uber and figuring out, okay, here's what they've done in their world. Here's how I could apply it to my little world of lawn care, as how we have built a lot of this business.
So you started in your neighborhood. How did you expand it outward? Now it's nationwide. How did that happen? Did you know people in other states? Or how did you slowly get there?
Yeah, it was a challenge because I remember it's probably year two starting GreenPal. I was just frustrated that we hadn't scaled as quickly as I wanted to. And I
Mm,
remember having a conversation with my co-founder at the time, and I was saying, you know, we're just in Nashville, and we've been in Nashville for 2 years, and I want to launch this in Atlanta and Tampa, Florida, and Jacksonville were the 3 cities that I wanted to launch it in. And my co-founder said, "Man, I think maybe 100 people used the app last week, and I'm pretty sure we pissed off 95 of them."
Oh,
And
wow.
and he said, "There's no need to launch another market yet." And he was right. It was what I needed to hear.
Mm.
We need to nail this thing first, and then try to scale it. So nail it, then scale it. And so we took another year and just really focused on, okay, what are the 3 things that are upsetting people the most? Well, they hire a guy and he shows up late, or they hire a guy and he doesn't do a thorough job, or they hire a guy and he ghosts them still. And so, okay, well, let's fix those things. And then, okay, now what are the next 3 things? Well, they hire a guy and then he changes the price on them. Well, they hire a guy and he leaves the back gate unlocked. Okay, they hire a guy and he mows too early. They hire a guy and he mows too late. Okay, let's fix those things. What are the next 3 things? And it's like you're always like triaging towards what's upsetting customers and not worrying about the 97 things. You're just fixing the top 3. And we did that over and over and over again, built-in guardrails and controls inside of the user experience to where it would prevent these things from happening and fix them if they did. And created kind of like a carrot and stick type of approach to lawn care services, teaching them on what it means to be proactive and communicate well with their customers and so on. It took a long time to nail that experience, but once we got that dialed in pretty good, then we started rolling it out to new cities. And I would go to these cities, live there for a month or 2, recruit the early vendors, interview them. I know the inside of every coffee shop, every Starbucks in Atlanta, Tampa, Atlanta, Tampa, and then St. Louis, of all places, was the next city. And so I would live there and I would just recruit these folks. And then we developed a playbook to be able to do that remotely and not to actually have to go there and not to actually have to live there for a while. And that's how we kind of just rolled it out to the next 50 cities and then the suburbs and so on. And so it was a very manual process, but one that we got pretty good at over time.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And, you know, as a founder, you did the work, right?
Not all of it, but there was a lot of work that I had to do. Yep.
You had a partner, right? You had a partner, and so he did some of the work. You guys were in the trenches.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between, and what I said, the educators, right? They're just educating on what they think it's correct. And you guys understand it because you went through the ups and downs and the valleys and so forth. And the know-how only comes through experience, I believe. And so
That's
I
right.
would rather learn from somebody who's been doing it. I have a good friend of mine who he went to computer college, right? Because he wanted to do tech stuff. He knew more than his professors, and his professors were asking him questions,
Yeah.
asking him for help. So he's
Why
like,
am
you
I
know
here?
what? He left.
Yeah.
6 months in, and he was taking advanced classes, and he's like, oh my gosh, you guys are like kindergartners to me.
Yeah.
And so he went to a company and he developed for them, and they mistreated this poor guy. And he was the smartest guy there. And then he's like, you know what? It was a vendor who recognized who he was. And he goes, why are you letting these guys treat you like you are nothing? He goes, you're so valuable. And so he hired him. And he went to
Nice.
work. The only reason he went to work for the guy is because the guy was smarter than him. But then when they started working together, my friend leveled up again. He went up another level. And now he's smarter than the guy who he hired. But he's still with that company because he says, I love it because I have my own realm. It's almost like my company because he was given the keys to the kingdom, and the guy understood who he was. But not everybody does that. Not everybody understands it. So you found somebody that you can work with, and I think that's what happened with my friend. He found somebody. So the guy's brilliant, and when we consider tech is always advancing, always moving forward. The
Never
new
ends.
iPhone comes up, you can't even use the old tech. You can
That's
use
right.
the old app, right?
But that's what makes it fun. You know,
Yeah.
that was the thing running my first business. I kind of plateaued from a personal development standpoint. And so that's why I really kind of explored selling that company, because I wanted a new set of challenges. And when you get into kind of the tech space, it's always growing, evolving. You always got to learn the new things. And so that kind of makes it fun in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share one quick video with you guys. Take a look.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience mastermind, where purpose is found.
I love it.
That's it. That's it. We're doing an event in Atlanta, man. Love to have you there with us. Love to have you there if you can.
Yeah, if I'm in the States at that time, I might come down there and check it out.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll send you the link also. Listen, when we consider what you've done, right? You had the structure at home. Your dad, you saw your dad, what he did, the care he took in you and developing you as somebody to take pride in what you were doing, whether you realized it or not at the moment. That was powerful. That was powerful. And I can see that you really grasped it, and now you're doing it for others. And you did it with all your 150 employees before you sold that company. And I can see how you're doing it now. And my gosh, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you today, and what an honor. When I look at people like you, people who are movers and shakers, people who understand that the value really comes from the people, not from anything else, but the people, the connections, the conversations that we can have with one another, and the way we make people feel. I think that's a powerful thing. So really appreciate you.
Well said, Sifu. I really appreciate that, and thank you for the kind words, and thanks for having me on your show today. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So GreenPal, what's the next level of Green? And I kind of gave you an idea, but that doesn't mean my idea is going to be beneficial to you. But where do you see greenpal.com moving to? I'm going to put it up on the screen for everybody to take a look.
Yeah, for us, it's like a refounding of the business all over again with all of the AI tools we now have. It's the ability to predict what's going to happen when you hire this guy to mow your yard. Is he going to show up on the day he's supposed to or not? And if he doesn't, or if we think he has a low probability to show up, we have 2 or 3 other guys on deck. It is closing the gap between where GreenPal is and what magic feels like, literally. Like, have you ever ordered an Uber and the car is outside already? Like he's already on that street and he's just there. Like, it felt like magic. We want GreenPal to feel like that, where where you hire somebody to mow your yard and they mow it in an hour. And we feel like by crunching the data, using AI to leverage, we've done about 5 million transactions on the platform to leverage this transactional data. We can predict outcomes, and we can create more magic in what it is we do, and in turn make these guys more money, because that's really why we exist. So that's what's the next level is for us. And these advancements in AI has come at a great time, because we had kind of reached the point where it's like, okay, what is next? Okay, and then sure enough, this new technology comes out. Okay, that's what's next.
I have a business proposition for you. It just came to me as you were talking. I live in New York, and when it snows, people are going mad. And a lot of times I'll go across the street to my neighbor who's older and say, I even did it this year. And I said, can I clean up your spot? He goes, I already hired somebody. I said, okay, no problem. I said, but if you need somebody. So I am thinking of plow.com, right? Whiteplow.com. So that it could be an Uber style, like GreenPal, for people who need snow plowing, right? Because, hey, guess what? They can already have it. It's going to snow tomorrow. They go to their phone. They're like, let me see, what's my price? Okay, I'm going to hire this person, right? So could that be an evolution to GreenPal? And can I be part of it?
There you go. We've dabbled in it a little bit, but when we expand further into these other verticals, you'll be our head of plow operations in the Northeast. How about that?
It's incredible when we can think about, and you just talked about it, AI, right? Because a lot of people are terrified of AI. Meanwhile, you're saying, bring it, let's go, because it's going to help what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's going to impact both players, right? The people who own the business and the people who are hiring the business.
Absolutely. It
See it
eliminates a lot of the wasted movement, a lot of the wasted activity that occurs in every business. This is an amazing piece of technology. It's going to help all businesses.
Mhm. How do you see it helping somebody who is at home? Maybe they're elderly person, and maybe their landscaper left. How does that help them uh, get somebody there?
Yeah, well, so if we have a lot of senior citizens that use the platform, and GreenPal is the first piece of technology they've ever used. They've never ordered anything on on Amazon. They've never taken an Uber. And so they're like, hey, I've never used technology for this before, but I've left 20 voicemails off of people I called off of Facebook and Angie's List and so on. But I don't know how this works. And so we have to design a product that makes it so easy for anybody to use, even if it's the first time they've ever used a mobile app. And so how it helps them is they can hire somebody that actually shows up, and they can hire somebody with 5 stars and a 99% rating and know that they're going to show up and do what they say they're going to do. Because if you don't use a platform like ours, then you're kind of just taking a leap of faith and you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Particularly if you're a senior citizen, it's easy to get taken advantage of. So with our platform, there's that accountability layer. And it doesn't exist. This accountability layer doesn't exist in most home services. So that's why we exist. And the service provider, it keeps them on track to show up on the days they're supposed to, and to do a good job and to earn that business for the rest of the season. So we try to really create a win-win, and yeah, it's great for somebody who's not necessarily like a tech person, but they can still use GreenPal to solve this chore.
So you talked about using it on their phone, so they don't have to go to greenpal.com. Could they go to Apple and Google?
That's right.
And download the app? And what is the app called on there?
Yeah, so if you have an Android, you go to the Play Store. iOS, you go to the App Store, and you just pop in GreenPal. Just put GreenPal in the App Store, and it'll pop right up. And you download the app, and then you can sign up on the app. You don't even have to go to the web.
Right. And last question, who pays for the app?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for consumers, it's totally free to use. The price you see from the lawn mowing service is the price you pay. There's no fees. And then when you pay them, the lawn care service pays GreenPal a marketing fee. And so we actually are, in effect, our customers are the lawn care services. They're paying to run their business on top of our technology. And they make more money on our platform than they could otherwise, because they're getting new customers and they get it all organized in one package and they get paid, quickly. And so
Right.
so that's who pays for it, is the lawn care services.
And it makes sense. Why not? Right. It's you're getting reliable people that you're going to go to work for.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Brian, I got to tell you, going across the screen is greenpal.com, but everybody, do yourself a favor. If you need any lawn care service, go to GreenPal and look it up on Google or Apple and do it on your iPhone, do it on your Android phone, but get the service. And you know what? I'm going to suggest this to everybody. Get the service even if you're happy with the people you have now.
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
tell you why. Because you never know. At least if something goes wrong, you go, wait, I got it. I can do it. Right.
That's
So
right.
don't forget. And thank you so much once again. What a pleasure. And hang out while we say goodbye to everybody. Do me a favor, everybody, if you're listening, watching the replay, share this with somebody who needs to hear today's message, because what Brian has built is an incredible service that can help even your grandma, your grandpa, your neighbors. It can be something worthwhile. So share this with somebody who needs to hear today's message. Brian, thank you again. What a great pleasure to meet you and know you. Hang out for a minute. Everybody have a great day, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.